he gets sacked from here, right? So if he gets sacked from here, walks away at the end of the season, whenever it is, gets sacked now, gets sacked at the end of the season, where do you think he will go that he could go now that would give him the elite players, that would say to him, like, do you know what? You're an elite manager. You deserve elite players. Where do you think it exists for him?
Juve.
Where?
Could be Juve. Yeah. Yeah, because I could see Pirlo going. So, Juventus.
I don't think anybody takes
Lee just gave me the answer there.
Sorry.
I'm not sure if you're a top club. I think this could be. I think someone will end up taking him, but I think it will end up being a sort of like a Porto kind of an under the radar. I'll go in, and he'll end up being successful, possibly, and people go, well, he's great again. But I don't think I see like a United or anybody like that taking that risk on him again of that standard.
Maybe the national manager's job.
I actually think,
Steve,
I
think he would end up there.
Steve, I don't think he will get another big club. I don't think he will get another club job. But I know what you're going to say to me.
Do you? Don't.
I do, but I'm not going to tell you what it is.
I think. Okay, I think, I think he's come to the end of the road. I really do for our club. But I don't think enough is made of the players' parts in this, the players' part in this, in the whole, and I've always advocated this with other managers when they get sacked as well. But even when Pochettino, had us playing and really doing well, these players failed to win cup finals. We've been to cup finals, and they've failed to win, and that's not on the manager. That's not necessarily on the coach. You can call out some of his decisions, selection decisions, whatever you like, but that's a lot of that has to come down to the player's desire. You get to a cup final, and no matter who he puts out there, if you can't show up for a cup final and put it in for 90 minutes thinking, this is my chance, then there's something wrong with you, as well as, to just chuck blame at the manager. The manager's the easiest choice to chuck blame at. Oh, we, got to a cup final, the players weren't good enough, or it's the manager's fault. But actually, that manager helped get those players to the cup final. So why did they not get over the edge? There's got to be more to it than just the manager. And this set of players will have seen another manager off. And
that's a very good point, because these players are, the defenders are making lots of mistakes. A lot of what we concede is individual mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
And
but
that's why this is a difficult dilemma.
Yeah, it is, because we've all independently said Mourinho, with his own players and an open checkbook, I think does better than what he's managed. But he's not going to get that at this club. So of course, he is the easy option, because we need someone who's going to make these players want to be better, or develop lesser known players into better players.
He didn't.
And I think that's what it comes to.
When he came in, remember, Sarah, when he came in, he said he didn't need to. He knew the squad. He didn't need. He just needed to get to know them better. But he loved the squad. He loved the players. All this sort of bollocks about how the players were really good. The squad's really good. So
that's exactly what I would say if I walked.
They're just words, aren't they? Just words.
But he also must have known, based on Levy's history, based on ENIC's history, and obviously it's still a point that I want to cover because we did get asked a question about ENIC. But based on that he wasn't going to get 200 million to rebuild a squad.
I think he was promised it, and I think it changed when we couldn't sell the club because of the pandemic. That's my God honest opinion. I honestly think we were banking on some revenue. We were banking on being sold or having the stadium naming rights deal done, and it all just fell away. And then it meant there weren't any cash.
You also have to wonder.
I don't think. Sorry, go on, Lee.
Sorry, I was going to say, you also have to wonder if Levy thought maybe, just maybe, and he could have promised this, but that he could get another dance out of these players, and
maybe,
and that was a hell of a lot cheaper than a huge rebuild. The winner, he could still instill the winning mentality to get him over the line, get another dance out of this lot. It hasn't happened. the worry
it's going to cost
is
him 30 million more.
Yeah, the worry is does he think someone else can get a tune out of him? If they burnt two managers, it's surely folly for him to think that now. So he's in between a rock and a hard place. He's got such a difficult choice ahead of him now, because it really did. When he was appointed, everyone was saying this is really his defining moment. This is his man, his choice. If this doesn't work, this could be the curtains for Levy. I mean, the thing is, he seems to kind of find a way around it all the time, with decisions. But he's got he. I think a lot hinges on this for Levy as well.
Yeah, I think it does, because this summer was going to be big whether we had Mourinho or not. Because whether we get rid of Mourinho or whether we get someone else in, he's still got to invest. We can see our defence isn't good enough, so we've got to invest in more defenders. But we've got to get rid of the defenders that we've got at the moment. Can we do that? We've got quotas that we've got to stick to. It's just not that easy. And people get very impatient about it, and I understand that, but I'm not defending Levy.
You say you're worried about us getting rid of our defenders, but El Desmarque were reporting that Barcelona are after Sanchez. So, job done.
Well, I hope they are after him. Yeah, that'd be great, but I can't see it. Can you?
He's going to be a world beater there, isn't he?
One of the things just quickly about Mourinho and you, like, I can't remember if it might have been Lee. You made the point about him, why it went wrong at Man United, and I do wonder with the players how much the media scrutiny plays a part in the mentality, because there's a lot, since like at Man United, he's hated, the media hate Mourinho, and at Man United and at Spurs, even when we were winning, they were talking about the club and how poor the standard of football is, and like it's just diabolical, and just typical Mourinho's, like dross football and boring football and stuff like that.
Yeah.
To the and just painting everything in a very negative manner, and that must play on the players' minds when they've been told, well, actually, the type of football that you're playing is not conducive to the type of football that anyone wants to watch. You might be getting results, but everyone hates it. But yet still, other teams do this. Other teams go, for example, to Man City and bank in and do a low block. Arsenal went to Man City, played a low block and got a result. Leeds went to Man City, played a low block, played just the other day, got 20% of possession, and they're lauded for getting the result. So why are all these other managers and clubs lauded for getting a result, playing in that style of football, but yet still when Mourinho does it, they say, well, this is just typical boring, dull.
Because he reacts, doesn't he? He reacts to them. In fact, I don't think it is a case that they dislike him. I think they love him because he's always reacting to whatever they do.
You might be right, actually, yeah.
Yeah,
he gives them a headline, doesn't he?
He does. He gets angry. He tells them the truth, and there is a lot of times. I know Mourinho says some crazy stuff, but a lot of the time he's telling the truth as well, even about his own players. But we don't like it, and but the press love him because he is so open.
You have to wonder also how many players from different clubs that he's been at talk. How many of the Manchester United players who are friends with some of the Spurs players have been saying, it's all going to go wrong. This player, he did this, he did that, and how much of that seeps into their mentality before the start, because it didn't take long, did it really?
No, well, that's right. I mean, we forget though. Up to Christmas, we were top of the league and we were doing really well. I know we probably weren't playing.
There were rumblings last season, though, weren't there? Of things being, the discontent and who he doesn't like and who's fallen out with whom, and he hated and Ndombele and he hated Ali, and there are lots of rumblings before. It started to pick up again before Christmas, and then just fell off the edge of a cliff again. So it was one good phase we've had. And
Yeah, but
I don't
know. I don't know whether these rumours have any kind of real credibility behind them, because do all managers have that issue? You know, if you're leaving players out because you have to, then players aren't going to be happy anyway. And you do wonder whether it's just exaggerated for
you
Mourinho.
also have to say that one good phase that Lee mentioned took us to the top of the league, which is probably, the first time that the
We've
Spurs
done that for ages.
have managed to be at the top of the league at any point. So that one good phase should really have been, supported and lauded for the achievement that it was at the time, rather than derided and belittled, which is looking for that opportunity to, hoping for us to drop off that spot, which is in reality what the situation was.
But then the Champions League final should have been just that as well. To make it to that point should have been the springboard for great things for this club.
Yeah, and it was just the most inept performance. So, it was just.
But that aside, even
taking that, exactly. Taking that performance aside, Lee, I'd ask you why do you think that as a club we failed to capitalise on that and to take a step forward at that point? Because I have my own opinions.
That's that I think comes down to the chairman. That comes down to the investment company that back us. That needs to be much clearer in what we want to achieve. I know they've talked about where they want this club to go, but we need to be, proving it and showing. And that was the clearest marker for getting in the elite player that you need to take this club to that next level. To be in that, you strike while the iron is hot at that point, because you're sending out a signal. We've arrived. That performance aside, because really actually we should have won that game.
Yeah, I think so.
But it could have and should have been the springboard. Instead, it ended up being the top of the hill, and now we're sort of on a massive downward trajectory. Should never have happened.
So the next question I'd have for you then is, because as much obviously as Enoch and Levy and Joe Lewis and all of that are to blame, right? How much of that also rests at Pochettino's feet? Because in my opinion, our approach to the Champions League final was diabolical. It was really bad.
Yeah.
We approached that as a once in a lifetime situation. Just happy to be there. Being there was the victory, rather than actually,
the semi-final was our trophy.
But we had a fair bit of luck.
We revelled in that. But we treated the final as we went in there and we were like, can we take photos of the whole squad? I don't want to just have a photo of the 11. I want to have because it's an occasion. It's a big event.
Sure. No, I'm not sure about that. Because I heard that said a lot, actually, that Liverpool were there to win it and we were there to take part. And I've heard that levelled at us quite a lot. But I thought when we played that game, early goal aside, because that had a big impact on our psychology. But then we took the game to them. We really could have won that. In the end, they finished us off clinically, and okay, that's one of our issues, is that sometimes we're not as clinical as we could be. But we matched them up, and we were more than good enough for them, and played better than for the most part. That doesn't say to me that they were there just for the ride. They were happy to be there. But perhaps what we're talking about here, Steve, is something bigger, more systemic, that the club was there for the ride. And that's maybe the issue.
Potentially. And so I don't know if you're happy for us to move on to that Enoch question. We don't.
Go ahead. Go ahead with that.
We never really covered Enoch on the pod. So
no, we don't.
We got a question from a guy on Facebook. It's our first Facebook interaction from a guy called Ian Cleghorn. And